Hey everyone, I'm Nathan, and today we're going to be talking about Cats 2019. There's a beautiful Drawfee playlist where you can check out every episode this running gag is mentioned, and it all started in 2019, where the lore is that the cast watched Cats 2019, and the curse for watching this wretched movie was that they all lost their jobs from college humor, and then later that joke was expanded into causing the global pandemic. And yeah, it launched the era of the Cats 2019 running joke, which was only usurped by this illustration that Julia drew, which led to the Goofy era, where that was the running joke, which I guess ended with the Scooby era, and now we're in the Chill Chuck era. I don't know. I'm not exactly an era scientist when it comes to Drawfee. Argue about it in the comments down below, and with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the speed draw. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I have never seen Cats 2019, the movie, so all of my knowledge of what the plot is comes from the jokes that Drawfee has made about the film. I know that there's a train, I know there's singing and dancing, lots of Uncanny Valley vibes, and it's based off of a Broadway musical where the plot is it's a bunch of cats all competing to be ritualistically sacrificed to their god to go to heaven or outer space, and that we're not sure about if that's real or not. Anyway, I didn't go with any of that. I just couldn't stop thinking about those old paintings of dogs playing poker, and I was like, what if I drew every Drawfee Cats 2019 playing poker? So that's exactly what I did. I did the layout of the room. It's very simple, just a circular table, and then I had to choose which characters to highlight. And then there's going to be a window in the background and some paintings on the wall. Nothing too fancy, but it was very enjoyable coming up with who is going to be the focal point of the image, and there are kind of two. We have this like triangular sort of pyramid all leading up and inwards towards Felix the cat, which was recommended by the lovely members of my Patreon, link down below. Yeah, there was someone who was like, oh, you should definitely include Felix in this list, and I was like, oh my gosh, that is totally right. One, they did make that joke in the Drawtectives show, but two, he's literally a railway cat, so I had to include him. And now you can see I'm working on his inks right now. I finished doing all of that underdrawing in red so that we could just have these very clean inks of the actual cats, and I wanted to not go too off model with anyone. You know, whenever I do these challenges, I always have to decide if I'm working in my style or more of the original images. And yeah, with Felix, I knew I wanted him to be very much the Drawtective style. But for like the cat that's next to him who's rich, that image was like front facing, so I went more with a my style / Looney Tunes kind of a style. I don't know. And then now that I'm working on the green cat, what's his name? Bono? I love him. He's from the latest Cats 2019 video. Yeah, he was really hard to draw because one, Karina style does not always translate well to my style just because it's so specific. Like, I've said this before, but whenever Karina draws hair and then I try to draw the same hair as reference, my characters always look like they have bedhead. And for some reason, Karina can draw very cute, big, beautiful, roomy eyes. When I try to draw watery, wet, bright, shiny eyes, they look scary. And I don't know why that is. But I finally was able to finagle it and make him look cute and not Uncanny Valley. Yeah, and then we have Willie's wet-ass pussycat in the center, which is very, very adorable and fun. I knew that obviously there were going to be poker chips in the center of the table that they're all competing over, but I make those gold coins because, of course, that was included when that pussycat was drawn, which is very fun. And then this chap is like literally the one in brown from the musical, I think, but he was in a video where they were drawing Mario for some reason, so I just gave him Mario pins on his coat / fur skin pelt. I don't want to think about the characterization of these people too much. It'll creep me out. That little guy is from a creepypasta. And so I'll go ahead and say that some of the characters in here aren't exactly cats. When I was going through that playlist and I was trying to pick out all of the Cats 2019 characters, sometimes they mention Cats 2019, but there isn't a Cats 2019 character that can be attached to the reference or the joke. And so my way around that is if there is a cat-like creature on the screen while the joke is going on, that cat is eligible. So there is a bat that you're going to see flying above the shoulder of this lion ringleader, who is in a wonderful conclusion. I really wanted to make him bigger, brawlier, and manlier than the original Karina drawing, because it turned out that in the video, it was trying to draw a character that already existed, and that character turned out to be a wolf. So I think in the render, Karina really channeled wolf energy into the rendering of him, but I wanted to really widen him out and make him just full lion with a giant mane. It was very satisfying to draw. But yeah, behind him there's going to be a bat, which rhymes with cat, and it has big pointy ears, and he was on screen momentarily while a Cats 2019 joke happened around the, just in the air, in the water, in the ether. So I took that to mean I could include the bat in the cat video. Oh, we're getting so Dr. Seuss. It's like I'm having flashbacks to The Grinch and the Onceler. Anyway, yeah. So now I'm just coloring each of the characters. I really love, just zooming in, but sometimes when I just pop back out, that gets me in trouble because it'll be like, oh, I was just so focused on drawing that. Now I have to figure out where the rest of the bodies are. It can get me in trouble in more ways than one. But yeah, now we're working on that rat that I mentioned. I don't remember what video he's from, but he has like this weird sword broom thing. I don't know, but he also has fire hair. That's very enjoyable. I just thought he was so cute. I had to include him. Yeah, I make him brown at first, but this was before I had considered what the background colors were going to be, and spoilers ahead, I use a lot of brown, so I end up making him more red towards the very end of the video. But yeah, I did like the brown because it made him feel like real bats, and I love bats. My earliest memory of them is one time when I was very little, I went to my grandmother's house, and she would always have bats in her attic, which was the same place where we would sleep. And so, yeah, we would like wake up and there would be a bat, and it'd be like, oh no, rabies. We never went to the emergency room or anything, but we probably should have because they could have had rabies. Anyway, now we're drawing this dark magician cat who is extra scrungly. Oh, and he's already gone. I just said an anecdote about my grandmother, and that's all you get. Yeah, I just really blitzed out these next two characters because they're both Jacob characters, so they're very shapy and therefore very easy to draw. This is also something I've shared before, but Jacob drawings are my favorite to translate because they're just so shapy, and my style is not so shapy, but my brain understands the shapes, and I try to be shapy. So I feel like it's a very beautiful filtering when I draw a Jacob drawing, whereas like that dark magician is a Karina drawing, and he just looks completely bedhead. Like even his paws look like he slept on low tumble in the dryer. I don't know what it is about when I draw anime. It's not just Karina. It really is any single piece of anime media. It just stresses me out. It's just so beautiful and pristine. I have a similar effect when I try to draw, say, Satoshi Kon or insert other anime here. But yeah, now I'm inking the classical railway cat, which was based off of the first drawing. And now we're doing a little bit more coloring. And yeah, like I said, I'm just sort of coloring everybody as I go, and I'm not thinking about the background at all, but I was just seeing that a lot of orange was happening, so I decided to make this railway cat this like gray with stripes, and y'all, he looks so cute. You can't really tell because the image is only in 1080, but in the full 4K image, it's really fun to just zoom in and see him because he ended up being really cute. This guy is a bit of an abomination. If I remember, I will put the drawing of this character on the screen now. This is a Julia drawing, and there was a Cats 2019 joke that was said, and then Julia wasn't even paying attention. She was just drawing this, but it was like a jump scare. Like we cut to this, and yeah, it looks like a cat. And there was a Cats 2019 joke 10 seconds before this fella appeared on screen. And to my best knowledge, it is some sort of cat with wings, and I made him blue because of Bluey. These other two characters that I'm drawing now, you actually saw in the intro of this video. And it's funny because it's like this really jerky, rich cat railway Cats 2019 character whose girlfriend is also a human just in a cat suit. And then Nathan made this really funny joke where he was like, oh, this is just Batman. So I took that and ran with it. And so this is literally Bruce Wayne and Catwoman in a furry mask, and they're at a poker game. And remember when I mentioned earlier, sometimes zooming in gets me into trouble? Well, I totally lost sight of my proportions while drawing them. So they're really, really tiny. And therefore, because we can assume that they're actual big human size, that just means that all of these furry cat people are absolutely huge, like giant monstrosities, which is very fun. And it was really nice to sort of make that decision to make this literally Bruce Wayne, because it gave me just very, naturalistic, classical body anatomy, which is fun and kind of a break from all of the cartoony drawings that I was doing up until this point. I got to really kind of exaggerate and make some choices, which was very fun. I think my favorite is that you can literally see Catwoman through the eyes that are just like these big cutouts, and that just delighted me. I thought that was such a nice touch because, Selena Kyle is so pretty. We want to see her face a little bit. I also really enjoy how long I made her limbs. I was channeling a little bit of Tomer Hanukkah. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's an illustrator who I really enjoy, and he does these really long, exaggerated limbs that sort of are reminiscent of like olive oil from Popeye, but make it aesthetic kind of a way. Anyway, I love his graphic illustrations. I think they're so great. He does a lot of movie posters and book covers. And yeah, I was kind of doing that a little bit when making these super long arms. And I probably could have even exaggerated them further. Oh my gosh, I think Bruce Wayne's little cat ears are so cute. Now, here I do something absolutely bonkers crazy, but I sort of went back and realized I need to redo some of my redlining. So I tried to address a little bit of the background, but I wasn't happy with any of those colors and realized that, oh no, I hadn't made any decisions and I'd already colored these people in the foreground. So that made everything a little confusing. But I just, realized I needed to go back to my red layer and just sort of try to get these other background characters situated. So this cannonball fella was from the latest video, and yet I have already forgotten his name. But sometimes when I draw these videos, it's just as simple as drawing the character exactly as they existed in my reference image. But because this guy was so new and so charming, I wanted to draw him from a different angle. That way, it just didn't feel like I was copying him exactly. So in the drawing that Jacob did, he's coming through a window head first. I decided to draw him coming in feet first. And it's not exactly like reinventing the wheel, but I just think little differences like that is just a good challenge to try to figure out perspective and anatomy. Being able to turn an object three-dimensionally is really fun. Now, these fellas are in the background of that same image with Bruce Wayne, and they're just poor. And Bruce Wayne is like mocking them because Bruce Wayne hates poor people. I'm kidding. I know he's a superhero. He's just very easy to make fun of. This fella in the foreground is Pete, who appeared in a stream. Now, granted, there are a lot of Drawfee streams, so it's possible I didn't get every Cats 2019 character, but there was a Gajinka of Pete that was claimed to be a Cats 2019 character, so he's included on this list. This just regular man next to him was Julia's drawing in the Cats 2019 official video. Yeah, that's very fun. I love those baby hands of that poor man. The cat and the ghosts outside the window, even though I'm not drawing them right now. There you go, you can kind of see them. They are from this random video where it was like they were tasked to draw something And Julia just drew a cat looking into an empty room. It was very funny. Oh, also, the members of my Patreon requested Joy and Olive be given these beautiful, like, elaborately painted, background portraits. I just thought that was very cute. This guy is a creepypasta who's smiling. I don't remember his name either. But yeah, I really enjoyed the idea of giving Olive and Joy their own respective portraiture. And yeah, it was really fun kind of coming up with brushes to make it sort of feel like paint strokes, even though I did cell shading. That's always a funny thing to do in Procreate. And I think we're just getting into the coloring now. And now we're doing those portraits, which is so fun. Yeah, I wanted to do very elaborate gold frames because they only deserve the best. And in those little tiny pictures next to them are just some D&D cats that also technically made the cut that I didn't want to elaborate on because they had some complicated outfits and I just wasn't feeling, I don't know, I had already done a whole Catboy video and some of these characters also featured in that video. So don't want to just keep redrawing the same people over and over again. It's not like I want to get into animation or anything. But yeah, here are those overlay layers to just sort of add texture and to make these feel more like canvas paintings rather than cell shading. And now, flash warning, as always, if you have photo light sensitivity, proceed with caution. We're just doing some adjustment layers as I fiddle-faddle around trying to create implied depth. And I felt like the best way of doing that was to just do shadows. It's the number one way to round out your characters. Throw on them soft shadows, add some contrast with some hard shadows, and you got some implied depth. And that's what we're doing, along with a lot of flashing and blinking layers. I put this nice orange glowy overlay over everyone, just so there's some sameness. They're all being traded equally in the light coming from above. And yeah, now you can't really tell, but I'm just sort of going in and adding the shadows. And this really tall, really goofy looking cat that was a silhouette challenge, and he was Bert, but he became a giant cat. Still doesn't have hands. I saved those until the very end because I don't know. I just didn't want to draw his big meaty paws, even though it's very easy. It's just these big circles, you know what I mean? They didn't have to be exact. Yeah, but I procrastinated like always. Sometimes it's just very difficult finding the motivation to draw a hand. Artist, can you relate? I relate. And yes, what are we doing now? Don't you love it when you're watching a speed draw and the person doing the commentary can't even tell what's happening? I just think that's so fun. Don't you think that's so fun? Oh, it's really early in the morning. I hope you're having a great day. Here we go. We're adding some wonderful light. I think that's so important. A little bit of vignette to soften the edges. We don't want everything crisp into the edge. We want soft, voluptuous, beautiful, smooth. This was very pivotal. Pivotal. I added a more green overlay just across the whole thing. That really settled the browns in my brain and I could finally work. And then when I added the wallpaper patterns, that just added this graphic element, which I felt both flattened the image, but created some separation between this like sea of brown that I was sort of falling into like a black hole and the actual foreground characters. Now I'm just sort of in cleanup mode. I want to actually add all of the, little tiny details such as putting hearts on cards, actually making the glass that's shattering have, motion blur on it, making it white so it looks like glass. And I think this is the finished illustration. Absolutely crazy bonkers of a project, but really glad that I did it. I feel like the Cats 2019 joke is so fun, and it was very interesting being able to track Drawfee's continuity with it. I feel like how I derive a lot of joy from Drawfee is, like I said, continuity. Watching them as a case study of life. It was just so interesting seeing them lose their jobs, go into a pandemic, and then come out of a pandemic, meanwhile laughing and coming up with like these crazy jokes and having these different eras. I don't know. That's the kind of stuff, the meta commentary, real life makes YouTube a very wonderful and enjoyable platform because it feels like you're just talking with friends instead of, watching a comedy show. Anyway, but this has been Cats 2019. If you have a favorite cat, please comment below who they are. Is it Bonadobo the Green Cat? Is that his name, or did I forget? Or is it Selena Kyle? Please let me know down below. And if you want to really support the channel, please consider supporting me on Patreon, where for just $4 a month, you can have your name in the end credits. And speaking of end credits, here they are now. Special thanks to Anna Sophia Boyd, Axelius the Great, Bodhi, Blue Uwu, Kay Clark, Christopher, Dabadoodoo, Dax Quinn, Aaron Martin, Emoe, Gay Jarris, Jay Johar, JD Boy 2000, Johan, Kitsune Chibiko, Lucky Paradox, Melon, Mild Mothman, Mistake, Native Runner, Orion Amastasia, Pinecone, Potion Cellar Door, Rin, Scorching Ray, Sir Camelot, Smalls the Sax Jammer, Shenanigans, Tad the Turtle, Tarthalinor, The Real Michael, Thumper Daytime, Thony, Tortilla Chips, Tuesdays Anyways, Tundra Katie Bean, and Tuppence Pies. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Nathan, and I'll upload a new video real soon. Bye!